We've got this video here from Decoy Voice. This is about the racist Christmas party. Okay.
Boston's Mayor Wu continues to fail the Celtic City, as apparently she held a Electeds of Color holiday party, but accidentally sent it to the white officials. Now, obviously, she got slammed for dreaming of a non-white Christmas, but in her response, she just doubled down.
People understand that it was truly just a...
Well, of course she doubled down, because there's not going to be any consequence for anti-white racism. So she could be free to be like, oh yeah, I wanted to have this event. I don't want no white people hanging out with me on Christmas Day. You crazy?
An honest mistake that went out in typing the email field, and I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well. So,
as apparently the party still happened, but I guess it makes sense because going after whites is pretty on brand for her.
I'm getting used to dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white. I'm talking about snowflakes. Snowflakes. I mean snowstorm snowflakes.
As Shoe-on-Head posted on Twitter, pointing out the odd phenomenon of politicians that would exclude white people in public, oftentimes exclusively include them in their privates. Now, I strongly believe people should be free to date...
Okay, sorry.
Anybody regardless of race, as I do understand there is this particular pocket of Asian men that seem oddly obsessed with criticizing Asian women like Wu. And I even hate bringing it up, but in my experience, those guys are usually the ones that themselves have a hard time dating outside their race, so I honestly just see it as sad jealousy. But my personal issue with Wu is putting politics over family, as every time she goes on television demonizing people like her husband, every time she excludes an entire race at a Christmas celebration, every second she's in political power and she's not speaking out against affirmative action in her own city, she's making the world a little worse for her own kids.
That, like, yo, imagine, right? Imagine, like, being a white husband to an Asian woman who is constantly being racist against white people in public. Like, there has to, how would that make you feel? You know, like, that's got to be degrading to some degree.
And if you,
but then again, you know, not all significant others have self-respect.
Of action in her own city, she's making the world a little worse for her own kids. And if you really think about why she's doing this, it's for nothing more than political power. And I understand the phrase child sacrifice may be too extreme here, but that's exactly what her party is demanding, and that's exactly what she's giving them. It's disgusting. And I don't really understand how she can get a single vote now, because if she's willing to sell out the future of her own kids, what do you think she'd be willing to do to the average citizen's interests? I don't want to look too far into symbolism, but this really seems to be about servitude, so maybe that's why there's so many self-deprecating demands from the Democrats. As it's not just Wu, AOC also seems to be obsessed with their supremacy.
White supremacy. The emergence of white supremacy. White supremacy is a fact.
With this being her fiance, Kamala Harris seems similar.
Yo, maybe Alex Stein did have a chance with her after all. Yo. Bro!
Supremacy is a fact.
With this being her...
Dude, I had no idea that the fiance of AOC was as white as the driven snow. I was not ready for this. Y'all should have prepared me.
Fiance, Kamala Harris seems similar.
The white nationalism.
White supremacy. White supremacist extremists.
As the second gentleman is the same.
Wow.
And peculiarly, even political commentators have this in common.
White nationalist racist diatribe. White supremacy.
But it had to do with white power.
As Don Lemon is married to this man.
Wow.
And again, I'm not critical of people dating whoever they want. Half the girls I've dated weren't Asian, and none of them were this bizarre combination of curly-haired Kirkland brand Korean that can't speak correctly. So I'll never understand why people make it their political stance to ostracize the types of people that they like to sleep with. Although, I do seem to criticize unemployed behavior, and my ideal woman would be unemployed while she raised my children. Oh my god. Which brings me to the bizarre conclusion that is, it's a fetish. As this is even trending on TikTok.
I will sleep with a white man. I will sacrifice myself for the greater good. And my babies will be Asian. They will learn my language, and they will not be white.
Now, I can't quite tell if this TikToker is just a troll baiting engagement.
That's so
but
weird.
even if she isn't serious, she's still a parody of actual politicians doing things surprisingly similar to what she's suggesting. And what an awful world that we would live in if there's actual politicians developing discriminatory policies, all because it's part of their fantasy fulfillment.
Dude, it's so weird. Like, now maybe it helps that I didn't grow up in a racist household. Right, even a black household, you know, right? Still not racist. So maybe I'm blessed in that regard. But it's like, you know, whenever I hear people making such racialized statements, it always makes me be like, bro, why are we talking about race? Like, what? like why? And like, especially if people are going to be like, all my kids are going to have my skin tone. They're going to have all my genes. They're going to have my eye color. I'm like, why are you so obsessed with this? This sounds like the exact same things that like alt-right folks would say, like the white supremacists, the people who are anti, miscegenation, interracial marriage, or like interracial marriage and having children, that are mixed. Like they would be like, no, you got to marry the person with the right genes so that the children, look right, and then those children have to go and marry people of the right ethnicity, so then you can keep the bloodline pure. And it's like, this is literally the same rhetoric that white supremacists are using. Should we not say, hey, maybe all of this racial language should be banished from the social consciousness? Not in that is not something that we should ever like even know about, but in a way where it's like demonized, right? Like people shouldn't feel like they can at least openly be like, oh yeah, I want all my babies to be white, or I want all my babies to be black, or all my babies to be Asian, or all of this. Like it's so weird how comfortable people are with being racist when the race that they are, or the race that they support, or whatever, is when there's looked favorably upon in society versus when there's looked negatively upon in society, which I guess should not be surprised. Like no one was trepidatious about being racist against black people, prior to the Civil War in the United States of America. And I don't think many people were being trepidatious about being racist against white people in South Africa. Right, because most people in South Africa, like the black folks or whatever, they hated the white people over there, the farmers and stuff. So, it does sort of make sense to a degree, but also the comparisons that make it make sense are not ones that make us look great. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? This is just like the black people who went and lynched the white farmers in South Africa. Like, no, we don't want to compare ourselves to that. That's not the society that we want. Or it's like, oh, it's just like America before the Civil War. Like, no, that's not the America that we want. So ironically, the same types of people who are going to be like, oh, Donald Trump wants to make America great again. When was America great before the Civil War? They're also the ones who are legitimizing the same types of rationalizations for who they're going to marry, who they're going to date, and whatever. The same types of things about, rationalizing racism as well, which is, what many people who were slave owners did, and people who kicked off the whole trend of having black slaves in the United States of America. As one major thing that they did is they rationalized, treating people differently because of their skin color. Those are things that were done when they were saying that Donald Trump was saying that America was last great before the Civil War. This is crazy, but if you look at it for what it is, then you're going to look at it and be like, this is actually bad. Maybe we should, turn away from racism rather than supporting it.
But if you enjoy me taking serious subjects and coming to insane but somehow realistic conclusions over my concise, lighthearted commentary, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on how race scripting in sports is finally backfiring.
Oh boy, yeah, that was the whole situation too. All in all, good video. But this racism is crazy. This is absolutely ridiculous.